Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a kit that you guys have suggested to me and recommended to me time and time again. That is Build Fighters Batlog's high-grade AZ Gundam. So this kit has been around for a while. It is a 2018 kit, but it is built, designed on top of, and is a variant of the very nice version, which is the REVEIW Zeta Gundam. So this kit is very impressive. Anyway, if you do want one of your own and you do find it hard to get, it is an older kit, you can find one exactly where I found mine, and that is through Buy, and the link is down there in the description. Now let's check it out. So first off, before I actually start talking about the way this thing looks, I will mention one thing, and that is, right now I'm doing a little bit of a backlog busting session, so that does mean that I won't be filming the build on every single video, because it just makes the videos longer and takes longer to do, really. However, I will mention this is a little bit of old and new, so we do have some polycaps in this build, some plastic on plastic, and overall it does work out quite well, with a little bit of some issues here and there when it does come to joints that you could tighten up yourself. The detail's great out of box, the colors are insane, there's a couple of old school, very Build Fighters-y looking aspects about it, but overall, definitely a bit of a winner. At its core, this kit is a variant. That really is the kind of Build Fighters sort of way. So what this is actually based on is the high-grade Zeta Gundam from 2017, the Gunpla Evolution Project version, which is a very nice kit. All of those elements are very nice. A lot of the new design elements on here are super nice. Some of the backpack aspects don't look as nice as the rest of the kit, but overall, visually, it does look insanely good. And this is a very nice color take on the Zeta Gundam. I always thought it looked a little bit strange, the light blue and the orange, but once you actually do see it in person, this looks so nice. It's just begging for a little bit of a matte or flat top coat to bring the shines out of the plastics, but just out of box again, I will mention it is mildly panellined, and that is all that was done. Otherwise, this is what you're getting out of box, and it looks nice. So taking a little bit of a closer look at this, and just in case you're wondering why it has such a unique kind of color, not the usual kind of Meijin Kawaguchi kind of style coloring, well, the reason for that is it's the Amazon logo. Quite literally, this is based on the Amazon logo's colors, because the model number of this, believe it or not, is just amazon.co.jp AZ Gundam. I guess the AZ is Amazon. So this is, yes, it's an Amazon Gundam, which is kind of funny. Basically because Batlog had exclusive streaming rights in Japan. Slamming it down now side by side with the art, and as you can see, Bandai has basically nailed this completely. From the front perspective right there, pretty much every color, including the little kind of vernier down on the leg, is color separated. Most definitely thanks to how fantastic the Gunpla Evolution Project version of the Zeta Gundam was, but otherwise, they've nailed it. Color separation wise, they've definitely nailed it round back as well. It's pretty much 100% color separated. The only thing I could kind of complain about a little bit is just the way the inside aspects of, well, the wing binder sections look. I'm not sure if this is something to do with the transformation or something later on, but these don't look as nice as the actual art, and they're the only real letdown to it. Even all the verniers down there are color separated inside of the butt boosters. Again, probably thanks to that fantastic Zeta kit it's based on. Details wise here, we're definitely not seeing some of the newer fangled stuff we see in brand new Gunpla, but otherwise it is quite nice. For example, we don't have any kind of layered sections of armor come from underneath. We do have what seem to be some kind of little beam machine guns or something similar in the chest, which are just in the blue. A bit of panel lining brings those out nicely. Nothing inside of the flap there is popping through from underneath. Some of these parts are nice, but they are layered on from above, and we don't have any kind of separation to gray on any of the armor from underneath. Now, when it comes to the Gunpla sins, we do have one wicked seam line down the top of the head, and that's probably the one thing that really stands out to me the most. Besides that, though, there is a little bit of nubbing going on the darker blue plastic, but honestly, as of right now, I'm not really seeing too much. It seemed kind of prominent during the build, but not so much right now. Jumping on into that full 360-degree spin so you can see all the angles for yourself in case there's anything that I, well, forgot to mention. One thing I did forget to mention is the fact that the eyes are not color separated on this. They are just eye stickers, but they rest quite well. They're easy to attach on, so no big issue there. Overall, the color scheme is nice. I will also mention I did snip off the safety flags on the head. So that means on all those V-fins, there was those little kind of not so nice looking square bits at the end, but I chopped those off. Overall, a lot of the nice aspects of the Gunpla Evolution Project Zeta are here. All the piping in the exposed gray frame sections The new aspects are very nice. I don't know who designed this because I didn't check beforehand. I'm guessing Naoki because of the look of all the kind of squared off aspects all over the chest, the style of V-fin, the shoulders really do scream Naoki. Actually, I'm going to check right now to find out. No, I was 100% completely way off. This was designed by Takayuki Yanase, who you would know for a lot of the Gundam 00 designs, a lot of the Build Divers designs, and the Thorn and the Ur from The Witch from Mercury. Finally, now jumping on into the size comparison, and there it is beside two standard size Gundams, which is the REVEIW version of the high-grade Oryx 78-2 on the left, and the Gundam Mark II on the right. Next to the high-grade Zeta Gundam, as far as I know, this is a variant, or well, maybe it could be the Evolution Project one, or the 0088 one, I'm not sure. The high-grade Gundam G-Quax, high-grade Exia, high-grade Barbatos, high-grade G-Self, high-grade Gundam EX, and high-grade Gundam Ariel. So as you can see, it's pretty tall. So now jumping on into the accessories, and here's everything that comes with the AZ Gundam. When it comes to the weapons, we've got a pair of twin hyper mega launchers, a pair of beam sabers, these beam effects which are for using with the included shield, and finally we do have this little piece right here which is for parts forming this into the Wave Rider mode, so this doesn't actually transform, it parts forms into that. Overall, a pretty decent loadout. So when it does come to the hands in here, all we have is the standard style holding hands, so there are no options or expressive posed hands in here. This isn't really all that unusual for Build Fighters kits because there is the sold separately set of square and round hands to be bought, which will match with all of these pretty well because they are just standard grey hands. Not the worst, but it would be nice to see at least one widespread included. Moving on into the weapons, and first off we've got the Twin Hyper Mega Launcher. Well, this is just one Hyper Mega Launcher. As you can see, it's an extremely Gundam 00 looking weapon. I will mention there's a couple of things worth noting about this. First off, the handle here does have a folding mechanism, so it can fold up out of the way like so, because it can be used with the onboard cannons or combined together with another one. The actual attachment point on this is not great looking. It does look like a big old peg sticking out, so it could be a little bit more premium, but the detailing along the edge is quite nice, and we do have some nice panel lining on the surface too. These twins right here can be attached bottom to bottom just like so to create the double version, and they just attach just like so. Kind of looks like it would have issues shooting to the front though, that might have a bit of a spread to it, but whatever. So in order to attach these into the hands, it's the usual way, nothing fancy, you just slide the handle into the hand just like so. So you can pose it just firing away like this. You have two of these, so you can attach them into both hands, and you can have a little bit of a pose like this. Overall, posability is quite good, but there's a couple of sketch joints on this kit I'll mention a little bit later on. Of course, there is the option of popping both of these together into the combined form. Now, I will mention that one of the handles on one of mine is just flopping out for no reason. These were built exactly the same, so this doesn't make any sense at all. I guess it's just usual Build Fighters quality, which has always been a little bit on the janky side and a little bit inconsistent. The final option then we have in here is the Prime Cannon mode. That is basically, I guess, Amazon Prime. You just pop these onto the shoulder cannon sections with the little bit of a peg that we would have seen before. They pop up just like this, and they look pretty cool. They come out over the shoulders, and there it is in a little bit of a pose, ready to, I guess, get your packages to you pretty quick with free delivery or something. However, it is a little bit sucky that one of the handles does drop out all the time, so I will have to mod that. You're not guaranteed that's going to happen, of course, because one of mine is fine, and they're meant to be exactly the same. Next up in here, we've got a pair of beam sabers. These are fairly normal with green blades. Those blades look like they may react to blacklight. When it comes to the handles, they're just two simple little gray handles. Let's give them that little bit of a blacklight test, and 100% they do glow under blacklight or blue light. I always find a kind of ambient blue light always tends to do very well, so just popping them onto that, and as you can see, they glow up extremely nice. Now, I will mention this looks a lot nicer in person than it ever does on the camera, so these pop off. Anyway, when it does come to getting these attached into the hands, oh man, the handles on these are just as awkward. Well, it seems these are just about holding on into their handles, so I'm just gonna pop one in, just so you can see what it looks like. It's just a standard beam saber, again, in that UV reactive blue, looking extremely nice. So there are no storage option for these, so when they're not in use, just take them off and throw them back in the box, I guess. But we do have some nice other beam effects in here as well. Now, these you may recognize from the high-grade Gundam X or the high-grade Gundam XX. These are for using with the shield. This right here is the shield. It's very simple. There's not really a whole lot to it. It's just a few pieces. It is nice that it is actually white from underneath, so I will give give it that. The attachment point is just this kind of little slot section that pops on into the back of the arm at an angle like that right there, and the beam section just attaches in to a little bit of a slot right here, just jams in, not fully by the way. I do notice it does kind of protrude a little bit right there, but overall that is a pretty cool option. Personally, I really do love it when melee weapons are kind of on board. They don't actually need to be pulled out. They're on something that can be used pretty much instantaneous like this right here. So that is a nice design. Lastly then, we do have this little thing right here, and this is giving me major flashbacks to the Core Gundam, and I'm wondering if this is where the Core Gundam idea came from, because this is straight from the 2017 version of the Zeta Gundam. So this right here is basically your parts forming center part for when you actually attach all the parts onto this for the Wave Rider mode, which we'll get to now in a second. First, let's check out that articulation. So finally now on to the articulation, and first off I'm going to mention the build quality, or should I say how strong this actually is out of box, and the answer is it's a little bit sketchy. At first it seems okay, but then you've got that. So this joint right here, this kind of classic, or it's not classic actually, it's the 2017 Zeta Gundam waist joint. It's a good idea in practice, and I have definitely perfected it since, but it's a polycap ball pointing towards the front, and it doesn't really hold in too well. We've got a polycap underneath as well, which doesn't grip. This has been a bit of an issue in older kits, especially that older Zeta kit, as well as some of the double polycap joints you've seen in some older gunpla. So this is normal. It kind of works its way out while you're actually posing it around or moving it. So as long as you kind of keep adjusting it back in, it's not too bad, but overall could be better. When it comes to actually getting into the usual pose, I'm just going to do this pretty much all the way through normally without speeding it up, because I'm not going to be going through all of the joints. There's nothing really special in here. The waist joint doesn't do anything unique. Everything is kind of polycappy, as in not really all that grippy right out of box. So you might want to top coat some aspects, especially those kind of polycap joints, which can be spongy and not too reliable. Sometimes they're super tight, sometimes they're not. Overall, this is okay, but as you can see, it's got a lot of that Build Fighters style jank to it. In the end, it is quite poseable. The ankle could be a little bit better, but this right here is what we do get. Again, it can pose up well. The whole kind of getting it into a pose isn't the greatest experience around, but it does the job and does it okay. So when it comes to the Wave Rider mode of the AZ Gundam right here, this is very much your standard kind of Zeta parts formation, and the finished Wave Rider does have your Zeta Gundam feel to it, but it feels a little bit bigger and a little bit more unique due to the length of the cannons either side and the shortened shield in the middle. Overall, it's a pretty cool design. When it does come to actually parts forming this, basically you break it down into a whole bunch of elements, that is A through F when you take off all of the limbs, and then you've got I through L when you take off tons and tons of little parts. So you really do have to break this down into its elements. Then you grab that central aspect that will make up this transformed version, you slap the arms on in from underneath, you've got a brand new secondary front skirting armor that you would have built on the runners that you can attach on here, but you can use the one that's actually on the Gundam too. The rear armor of the Gundam slaps onto the back, chest armor of the Gundam onto the front, butt flap onto the top. Then it's time to transform the legs. This is just like that Zeta Evolution Project version, where you just pop off these little locking mechanism on the back of the knees, and then you bend it into that typical Zeta lightning bolt shaped leg. You slap those onto the side, then you grab the backpack, straighten it out, these slap up from the bottom, then you add these side skirts onto the side, and then the two cannons drop down either side of that. And that is pretty much it. Now this does take quite a bit of time. It is an alternative build almost, and the tiny little bit of Gundam that is left over almost feels like this is an absolute waste. It just doesn't feel right per se. This is a rock solid nice Wave Rider mode, definitely, just like with the Gunpla Evolution Project version of the Zeta Gundam, but it just feels so wasteful. You're either missing a whole part of the Gundam when it's in Wave Rider mode, or missing the kind of central grey section of the Wave Rider when it's in Gundam mode. It just seems a little bit wasteful, especially in the Wave Rider mode, which admittedly looks quite cool. So anyway, that right there is it for the review of the high-grade A to C Gundam, and this gets X Silver tier, and this is really, really good. If this was the old tiering system, it may have scraped that gold, but it's a little bit more strict now than it once was. Overall, this is an impressive visual beast, a nice take on the Zeta Gundam, and out of box, it is a very decent build. As far as Build Fighters kits go, And like you guys recommended, this one is incredibly good, but it just doesn't really compare to modern kits as you would expect. Going through the list right here, it definitely is a winner when it comes to the aesthetics. Nothing brand new in it. The top 2 bars it is missing, in case you're wondering what actually makes those up, is exceptional detail, usually with parts coming through from underneath and some nice color separation all over the place. The last bar is just for something absolutely extreme and out of this world. So what it does is absolutely fantastic. It's perfect to the line art. There are no color inaccuracies and no stickers inside of the box. Overall, it's beautiful. The color scheme is extremely nice, and like I said, it's a great take on the Zeta Gundam. By the way, I will mention that the looseness isn't actually included in the articulation, that is included in the build. But ignoring the fact that some aspects of this are a little bit on the loose side, the range of motion on all of the joints is insanely good, besides maybe the ankles, and I think I didn't have them all the way pulled out. The most impressive joints on this kit are the shoulders. We've got nice sliding shoulders inside the actual body, and then some cool ball jointed shoulders actually attaching the arms onto the body. So you get a lot of nice articulation out of it, and although it's a little bit on the loose side, the design of the ab crunch really is good. You're just gonna have to tighten it. When it comes to the accessories in here are fun. They do what they need to do and not really much more. We do have UV reactive green parts, which is always nice. Would have been nice to see an extra hand or two in here. Basically, it does what it needs to do, has its equipment. What more can you say? When it comes to the build, this was extremely good, but obviously lost 1 point because this kit, when finished out of box, is very loose. So I do recommend tightening up all the joints. A little bit of top coat here and there will definitely go a long way, especially the backs of the hands. They fall off all the time. Get those attached on and tighten up the ab crunch, and you'll be a very happy builder. Besides that though, the build is nice in some regards. The backpack is a little bit mediocre to meh, but the Gunpla Evolution Project version of the Zeta inside of it is always a joy to build. So overall, extremely nice for a 2018 Build Fighters kit. You really can't do too much better in that particular column. Anyway, if you do want one of your own, link is down there in the description. I got mine through Buy, you can too. And as always, make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. It wouldn't be the end of the video without special thanks to each and every single one of you guys for watching my videos, and special thanks to the channel members and the members over on Patreon, including Caleb, Engelhardt, Joe, RG59061, Scotty Thomas, Simon, and Van Fawn.
Hey, Big Zed!